So hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Dzintars. I am from the SUNY Oswego Counseling Center, and welcome to another Mindful Chat. Today I'll be talking with Gary Morris in Career Services. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Gary Morris. I'm the Director of Career Services here at SUNY Oswego, and it's a pleasure to spend a little time with you today.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And I mean, a large part of why I started these conversations is just so students know what's available to them during this time. A lot has shifted, a lot has changed. And especially as we're moving toward the end of the semester, I think there's some increased pressure, stress about what things look like. Obviously, we're looking for some certainty in things, and it's uncertain times. So anything that we can start to lay the foundation for, I think might be helpful, especially emotionally. I think we all need some stability or something we can count on. I know just from looking over the website and some of the interactions I've had with some of your staff, it seems like you have a lot that's in place. Is there anything that you've been excited about or anything that you feel like is working for students right now?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned so much has shifted and changed over the past couple of months, and that is true. I guess I would toss out there that I'm aware of one thing that definitely has not shifted. Um, uh, and I would probably speak for our entire institution, but I can most personally speak for our department when I say that our resolve to help our students be successful hasn't budged a fraction of an inch
Mhm.
throughout this entire process.
Mhm.
You know, I, um, I think we have so many things that we can offer our students and do even in this virtual environment. Um, but I think before this happened, the greatest thing we could offer our students was a sense of hope
Mhm.
and a sense of optimism
Mhm.
and frankly a sense of choice in terms of determining their path in life. Um, I think we have so many resources and tools and expert staff on hand that we can offer our students what I think is one of the main reasons you go to college, and that is to be able to determine your own future, to
Mhm.
chart your own path and walk down that path at a competitive level. So you get to choose what kind of life you want. Um, and I think you can only do that from a standpoint of standing on solid ground
Mhm.
of coming from a great institution where you're fully prepared to compete for the best life possible. And I think this institution does
Mhm.
that. In response to my first point, what I think we offered most was hope, was a
Mhm.
bright future, was the ability to choose the life you want. I think we still offer that. It might look just a little bit different right now. I'm getting very used to interacting with students as like 3-inch squares on my screen.
Yes.
Um, it's just our world right now. It's not a permanent world. We'll go back to some sense of normalcy probably sooner rather than later, I would suspect.
Mhm.
Um, but that's what we have right now. And I think everything we did before, with very few exceptions, we do at this point for our students.
Mhm.
Um, Several years ago, we um, moved into kind of an online arena in response to a growing number of students who were distance learners,
Mhm.
and certainly in response to our Syracuse campus. So we tackled the whole online piece years ago, and we
Mhm.
started moving our greatest assets online so any student from anywhere could access just about everything we do. Um, so the transition out for us, as crazy as it was, could have been really, really crazy. We
Yeah.
just had to figure out a way to, move 100 appointments for our navigator staff
Yeah.
online and a few other logistics. Other than that, we were kind of ready to go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that must have been great to kind of be ahead of it in some ways. Like you were prepared in some ways for some of this virtual work or being distant, and
Right.
those kind of communications. So it seems like, I mean, I'm sure there's stressors and struggles, but it sounds like the
Yeah.
foundation at least was somewhat built for you moving into this, which I'm sure allows students to enter into it, I think, a little bit more comfortably as well. Your staff sounds like they were somewhat prepared.
Right. Yep. And it's funny. You're never really prepared for something like this. It kind of
Yeah.
like out of the blue, and it took us, frankly, it took us about a week to get our footing and be up and running at 100% again. But most of that, in in the Murano Campus Center, in this place called the Compass, we have this resource center where students can just drop in all day long for help with everything from internship and job searching to resumes and cover letters or whatever. Um, and it took us about a week to duplicate that online. But in the end, we had all of our navigators taking appointments. We had about 100 appointments a week scheduled that students could kind of check into, in addition to meeting with our career coaches online. Most of our tools and resources were already online, so that was fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Tools for self-assessment and career and major exploration and job searching and internship searching, all of those were already online,
Mhm.
and students could connect with their career coach in their industry for tailored help, or a navigator to kind of work through that process with a person, which is always nice. Um, so the lift wasn't nearly as heavy as it could have been.
Sure.
Um, One of the things we can't duplicate online is something like an etiquette dinner or a career fair, where
Mhm.
you show up and in the previous world, you'd shake hands, make introductions, exchange resumes, talk about opportunities, do some follow up. Um, One thing we've tried to do to compensate for that is to try to find virtual events. And frankly, this I think is going to be one of the things that sticks around after this emergency is over,
Mhm.
is the comfort level of candidates and employers in a virtual environment.
Mm.
So we quickly made it our business to find as many virtual events as possible that our students could attend and engage with employers, and employer information sessions, virtual career fairs, tours of organizations. And I think we're well over 100 virtual events that we posted to our calendar to date. And frankly, I think that's probably one of those things that we're always going to do now, even if we're back on campus.
Mhm.
Um, Virtual events is a more comfortable environment for folks, and it's going to be another way for our students to engage with employers.
Sure, sure. I mean, what stands out to me as you were talking about that was almost like how much it sounds like you've embraced some of this as new opportunity. I mean, there are
Right.
those struggles, but it sounds like, and to tie back to your original message of hope, it seems like finding ways to engage with students even post all of this, in new ways to help build, confidence or comfort level, and then opportunity. It seems like some of that stuff you see a lot of potential for even moving forward.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Students of a previous generation, like last year's graduating class, um, they didn't necessarily have these opportunities to connect with employers and
Mhm.
internship sites and job sites virtually because it just didn't exist. Um, this is a new world is being built that I think is going to provide a lot of bridges for students to connect with a lot of employers out there,
Mhm. Mhm.
which is interesting. Start looking for silver linings. I think this is going to be a really thick silver lining here.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting too because I've talked with coworkers just about how amazing it's been to imagine shifting everything so quickly. I think there would have been so much resistance and hesitance and worry, but then
Right.
when you're forced to do it, I think we see how adaptable we can become and find
Yep.
new ways, creative ways to be resourceful and piece some of that together. So it sounds like
Right.
finding those opportunities have really allowed for students to continue doing the stuff that they would have done in person. But it doesn't feel like it's so cut off. Like there's not too much barrier.
Right. Correct. Correct. And I know, from speaking with a lot of students, um, one of their biggest concerns is, well, like, my life is on pause somehow. I was gearing up to graduate maybe, and like, now what do I do?
Mhm.
Or I was a junior going into an internship that vaporized on me this summer. Now what do I do?
Mhm.
Um, and so, especially, for a traditional college age student to put their life on pause at the very moment that they are set to launch at high speed into, this world of enthusiastic, go-getting attitude. It's especially difficult for these
Mhm.
folks.
Mhm.
So we've been busy collecting information as well on, okay, so if plan A, whatever that was, is looking a little different right now, what can you do right now that doesn't feel like it's a pause?
Mhm.
And so, I think when things open up, and they are, across the country for sure, um, when things want to know how you spent your time during
Mm,
this kind of pause.
mhm,
And were you productive? Did you use this as a time to build the skill set or find greater purpose in the direction you wanted to go? Or was it just a whole lot of Netflix?
mhm,
You know, and so if a student can spend this time bumping up their skill set, getting a different credential, jumping on LinkedIn Learning,
mhm.
and driving some of those things into their resume, spending more time connecting with alums on LinkedIn, building foundations from which they can kind of jump a little bit higher from when things open up. I think that's going to play really well with the job market
Mm,
and their
mhm.
competitiveness level.
Yeah, yeah, which I think is powerful because I do think there are those moments where students feel stuck, and that can be very
Yeah.
debilitating. I think we all have those moments of like, I don't know what to do. But I really like how you kind of piece this together because it sounds like there are those opportunities and those moments for still moving forward that play into this, that help us to feel better.
Right.
I really like that there are those kind of opportunities, and I've seen so many other universities offering free classes that I think can be accessible and maybe learning some of those skills in new ways that maybe students wouldn't have had access to before.
That's right. That's right.
So I think there's so much of that kind of opportunity. I really like that it's somewhat balancing. Take the time you need for yourself to rest and like refresh, self-care, but then there's also those opportunities of, okay, you can still make some connections. People are still out there looking for their next recruits or the new positions to be filled.
That's right. Yep. I mean, our education students, just to take one example right now, things are a little weird around New York State. But if you look at other parts of the country, hiring is in full blown crisis mode with the teacher shortage that existed 3 months ago.
Mhm.
That teacher shortage still exists. Um, it's just hard for people to get into recruiting mode right now.
Mhm.
Um, but if you're a teacher candidate right now, you can pick a school and probably get a position offer
Mhm.
at this point. So and there's lots of opportunities regardless of major out there, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, you know, I sort of describe it this way. I've been around long enough. I mean, I don't know if you can see the gray hair at all in the monitor, but I have been around a while in the field in general, and at SUNY Oswego specifically. And I've seen things at their peak. Great job market. Jobs for everybody. And I've also seen some pretty lean times. The housing bust, the dot-com bubble, the 2008 crash. And I've lived long enough to kind of see things go like this. And this is kind of a big one because it's global and it's serious and it's unexpected. There's not a doubt in my mind that we'll be coming back up and we will get through this.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's one message that I would love to send students out there that are thinking, "Wow, is this ever going to end? Is my career just toast at this point?" Absolutely not. Um, if you've not seen these things happen in the past in terms of kind of economic turmoil and these ups and downs, you might think, well, this is pretty much the end of the world, or
Mhm.
at the very least the end of my career. Not the case at all. Not the case at all. It will come back. I think it's going to come back strong, and our students are going to be just fine.
Yeah, which I think is encouraging to hear because I know working with seniors especially, they had this clear path that was really
Yep.
paved out for themselves. They had the expectation of what it looked like, and to really have to like rethink these big choices and decisions for
Yeah.
themselves. I think that's been a big stressor for so many of them. But
Right.
I think in some ways you're right. Like there's going to be opportunity beyond this. This isn't the end of something, it just might be a new beginning. And maybe there are those opportunities for shifting it. It doesn't mean that all of this that you've done and accomplished is for nothing. It's still very
Oh
much
gosh.
valuable.
Right.
um,
Right.
the
And I would.
opportunities. Mhm.
Yep. One of the things that makes SUNY Oswego unique is that the career office here is built on an industry model.
Mm,
So we don't have generalists just kind of helping all students with all things. If you're an education major, for example, Jackie Wallace in our office is really the point of contact. Um, If you are chemistry, biochemistry, geology, engineering, STEM, and healthcare, Christine Mosick is your point of contact. Um, if you're going into the field of business, Tycho Kelly is your field of contact, and on and on. Um, I would say for any students listening to this out there, that if you're just kind of wondering, okay, so what do I do now? I'm either a little or a lot distraught about my future prospects, or I'm not quite sure what I should be doing now to position myself better for the future. We're all online. We're here every day, all day long. You can make an appointment. We can Zoom, Hangout, phone call, text, chat, email, whatever it is that you're comfortable with. We can connect with you, and we can help you devise a plan that takes into account this new world, but also prepares for the return of our old world in some ways. So that tailored, personalized assistance that matches you with the best person given your goals and your career aspirations, that exists. It exists today, tomorrow, through the summer, and forward.
Mm.
So, if students are out there just kind of wondering, what do I do now? I would say get online, connect with your career coach, set up an appointment, or just trade emails back and forth, and develop some strategies to get through this process. Develop a timeline of, okay, so next week you probably want to be doing these things. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, you might want to be doing these things, with a main goal of, 2 months from now, you have X, Y, and Z in place.
Mhm.
We can kind of work all those things out for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that model as well, because just from doing therapeutic work, I think sometimes people feel so overwhelmed about these big changes and having to
Right.
figure out like the big decisions in their lives. I really like that it's very much broken down into the steps, because I think that's manageable.
As you were talking, I grabbed a drink of my coffee, and I noticed on my mug, I don't know if you can see it. There's beauty in simplicity,
Mm,
is the saying,
mm,
and it kind of relates to what we were just talking about. So many things in life. If you look at all of it in total, it seems insurmountable. Like, I want an amazing career is a big lift, but I'm going to connect with one alum this week and do an informational interview and gather information about how they got to where they are in their amazing career and what steps they took. That seems kind of doable.
mm.
And so, you're right. One of the things we do try to do is break down something amazing. And if it's amazing, chances are it's complex.
Mhm.
And if it's aspirational, chances are it's difficult to get to. Otherwise everybody would be doing amazing things in life. And
Mhm.
so we try to break amazing down into a series of steps that you can take that will incrementally keep moving you forward and up. And in the end, you get there, but you can't get there all at once.
Yes, yes. And I really think there's so much benefit to taking it in those small steps, because, I mean, like you said, that feels so much more manageable, and it really does break it down. But I think emotionally we can handle it differently as well. It doesn't
Yes.
feel like this daunting process. It becomes, okay,
Right.
today I can do this. Tomorrow I can do
Yes.
this. This week I can do this.
Yep.
And that's it. That's how we move forward.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think especially for moving forward, for maybe seniors who are graduating Saturday, um,
Yeah.
are there services that are available to them right after graduation that they can still have access to?
Yeah, great question. The short answer is yes. The slightly long answer is everything we do is available both to our students and to our alums all day, every day, for the rest of their lives for free.
Mhm.
And that's kind of a mantra of ours. So, if you're graduating this weekend, Monday morning, we'll meet with you. Tuesday morning, in July, August, 10 years from now, everything we do is available for every alum, no matter when you graduate. And we have lots of alums that take advantage of some of these things too. So,
Mhm.
yep, we're there pretty much forever.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I somewhat knew the answer only because as an alum, I also used services, but I
Uh-huh.
wanted to hear you
Yep.
explain it. So
Yeah,
I had such a
yeah.
wonderful experience doing that, because I think I was at a time where I'd started working and I was doing something. I just wanted to check in with somebody to see what other options were out there for me. It was a wonderful
Right.
conversation. So,
Yep. Because it's not uncommon. for your first move out of college, to not be exactly the direction you want to go, because life kind of teaches you along the way. You'll have job A, and job A, you kind of like these aspects, but not so much of this. So, job B after that has more of those things you love, and you just kind of keep working your way
Mhm.
down a path that sometimes you can't anticipate as a college student.
Mhm.
Um, life's a great teacher, and you learn so much about the direction you want to take by taking steps forward down a path.
Yeah.
Um, and so as things change up, we're always there to help our alums kind of process what their current path looks like and what a different path might entail. Um, I think it's, I forget the stat, but it's an overwhelming number of college graduates out there after so many years that aren't working in an area related to their major,
Mhm.
um, which is why we have an industry model of career coaching at Oswego versus a major model. Um, because it's not so much, I mean, obviously, major factors in heavily to a student's path. But it's not so much what your major is or was. It's what do you want to do with your life, and what would give you that amazing life you are somehow meant to live. And how do we get a handle on that and move you towards that direction? That's
Mhm.
pretty much what we're about. Yeah.
Definitely. And speaking to that process of just having those kind of conversations, I remember leaving, it was even just looking over a resume, and just being asked, well, what else have you done that ties into what you would like to do? And even just to walk away from that conversation saying like, oh, wow, I've done a lot more than I think I give myself credit for. I think you
Sure.
leave with a sense of confidence, and then I think it draws out that purpose. So I think that's a great opportunity for students, especially if they're unsure, if they're thinking about a change, if they're, I don't know, they just need to talk it through with somebody.
Sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
That's great.
We have, I mentioned several industries that we have on staff, STEM and healthcare and education, human services, business. We actually have someone on staff whose industry is, for lack of a better way of saying it, I don't know what I want to do with my life,
Mhm.
which is perhaps the biggest industry of all in some ways.
Yeah.
Uh, So we have Christy Wynn, and she is phenomenal at helping students who aren't quite sure what path they want to take. They can't kind of figure out, well, it's chemistry or it's public relations or it's geology or it's finance. They just aren't sure, and she's got lots of ways of helping students kind of unlock the answers to those questions and put them on a path. She obviously also works with alums who got out, worked for a few years, and are kind of questioning whether it's the right direction, but not really sure what that next direction might be.
Mhm.
She can kind of drop back all the way to, let's talk about you, your interest, what your values, what's important to you, and try to figure you out a little bit. And then figure out how does that play into what sort of life you want to live.
Mhm.
And once we get all of that figured out a little bit, then what career path would support the life you want to live, because career is a big piece of your world, obviously.
Mhm.
um, but it's your world that we get concerned about, because you can most people who love their job end up loving their life,
Mhm.
because you spend more time at your job than pretty much anything else in your life combined. Having said that, if you love everything else about your life but you hate your job, everything else in your life is going to take a major hit.
Mhm.
And so, career is kind of a big piece of um, happiness and fulfillment in life.
Mhm.
And so, we try to help students see the connection between job, career, vocation, calling, whatever you want to term this, and overall happiness going forward with your life. So, we kind of look at the big picture as well.
Yeah, which I think, I mean, from a mental health standpoint, I see so much benefit in because, like you said, so much of our lives are trying to figure out purpose, where we fit in like the
Yeah.
bigger picture. Because I think that gives us a sense of foundation, and it gives us something to feel good about, like what we're contributing
Yeah.
in the world around us. But then also, I think it spreads out to other aspects of our lives because we have something that we kind of fall back on. We're putting our efforts into something meaningful, and I think that does help us to feel better.
Yes. Yep.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Great, great. Yeah, that was really nice to hear about. I think it's very encouraging, and I hope that students at least take some of this away from that, because it is a nice place to start if you're having concerns or worries or doubts, just to have some conversations with people who want you to make those kind of decisions in your best interest. So I think
Right.
place. So in terms of resources, um, if a student wanted to start, like what's the best way to start that process?
Yeah, wow. There's probably a number of ways, depending on their comfort level or their preference in kind of engaging with us. One way to start is if you have a sense of direction, like I think I'm going towards healthcare or sciences versus I want to help people in human services, or maybe I'm looking at entertainment. Um, I think students can kind of get on our website and very quickly determine, okay, that's my career coach. They
Mhm.
seem to be in my world a little bit. And it's like two clicks of a button and you've got an appointment with them.
Oh, great.
And a career coach can really just sit down with you and start that conversation at whatever point you want to start it, and figure out, okay, where are we? Where do we want to go? And how are we going to figure that out? And then what are the steps to get us there? What's the timeline? Um, if they're not ready to do that, they can just go online, and we've got a fairly in-depth website with all of our tools and resources kind of laid out there in a fairly simple manner. um, since we went remote, we developed a page that deals specifically with our new virtual world and the things we've done differently. In addition to everything else we do, here are some things that we are doing differently in this world. And that's got everything from virtual events, and ways to connect with employers. It's got status updates of employers out there, whether their internship programs are still running or not. There's a variety of things that we put together, that virtual events, career fairs that students can kind of review, um, in addition to everything else that's already online,
Mhm.
and was online before we went completely online. So they can go online and start the process that way, or they can connect with a career coach and we can help them kind of figure out how to start that process the most efficient way and the best way for them. Or they can just drop us an email, career services at Oswego, and just toss out there like, hey, here's my situation. I'm kind of wondering where to start. And we'll get that to the right person and we'll reach back out to that student or the alum.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, thank you for going through that. I'll put the links in the description for the video, so it'll
Great.
be
Yeah.
a click away as
Yeah.
well.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. And then, yeah, I mean, was there anything else that you wanted to hit on or make students aware of, or parting words?
Wow. Yeah, gosh, I think I'll end the same way I began, and that is, career services at SUNY Oswego. We have an amazing suite of online tools and resources, and programs. Now we have virtual events in the fall. We'll be back into some sort of normalcy, and we'll kick back things where we can. Um, we've got all of these things going on, but I think what we have going on that's going to be most valuable to our students, um, is the fact that our staff have a heart for our students, a true heart for their success, um, a genuine concern and caring for their well-being. Um, we don't even know all of our students, obviously, and we care deeply about each and every one of them. We don't know our incoming class, and we care about every single one of those students as well. Um, we're chock full of people that, probably could have done anything they wanted with their lives, professionally. All of these people in career services, they had a moment in time where they had to chart their own course, pick their path. What will I do with my life that's going to make an amazing life?
Mhm.
This is what we chose. Our amazing life is helping our students and alums find their amazing life. And so it becomes, way more than a job, frankly, way more than a career for us. Every single person that works in our office sees this as our calling. This is what we were meant to do. And when you have that kind of personal investment in what we're trying to accomplish, I think you can accomplish great things because it's really coming from deep down inside us. And so I would say, reach out, connect with us personally, and we will make every single one of our students our personal mission to make successful and get through this process most immediately, and then certainly beyond.
Yeah, that, I mean, that's great to hear. And yeah, it just sounds like you have a nice place to work yourself. So
Yeah, yeah, it's great. We love it.
yeah, that's awesome. And then yes, from my own knowledge and experience with your staff, they're wonderful people. I think they work really hard to help students find resources and to understand where people are coming from. I think
Yeah,
I could speak to that as well.
right, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So thank you so much for being here and just chatting with me about the resources that are available. I mean, I do hope students take away, first off, I think your optimism and your hope, because I do like that shines through in this. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's a good moment for that to
yeah,
feel.
yeah,
So I
for sure.
appreciate you walking us through all of the resources, and then students can reach out. Like I said, I'll put the links in the description. So if you're interested, check out the website and feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate the time today.
Yeah, thank you.